the Stormpixie Chronicles, the adventures of Commander Zephyr, the first battle. To prove themselves protectors of the enchanted forest, Commander Zephyr and her forces must fight through 42 unique battles of maddening and magical resistance. With Stormpixie precision and power, Zephyr and her trusty squad must journey from the dense depths of the enchanted forest to the grand finale atop its mystical mountain tops. To win this challenge, Zephyr will have to overcome the insidious Lord Fluffington, who says stuff like whirlwinds of whimsy, sprinkles of surrealism, glimmers of gibberish, whispers of cosmic chaos, rainbows of ridiculousness, and the echoes of eccentricity. In the whimsical world of Zephyr's pixie predicaments, she stumbles upon a troupe of peculiar personalities who offer their quirky camaraderie. Amidst the fantastical fray, will she discover companionship in the enchanting guise of Stormwing and Sergeant Ember, two extraordinary eccentrics known for their vanishing acts while on mystical missions? In the enchanted forest, amidst the whimsical flora and fauna, resides Stormwing, a magnificent Stormpixie warrior. This mystical being harnesses a peculiar sorcery to command the elements with the finesse of a frenzied ferret juggling figs in a tempestuous wind, possessing a temperament as volatile as a teapot caught in a tornado and reflexes quicker than a hyperactive hedgehog. Stormwing unleashes nature's playful havoc on the battlefield, akin to a child throwing a tantrum in a toy store. One day, as Stormwing was frolicking through the enchanted forest, a shimmering message from the ancient oak trees beckoned. The mystical whispers revealed that deep within the heart of the forest, an ominous presence stirred, threatening to disrupt the delicate balance of magic that permeated the land. With determination blazing in Stormwing's eyes like stars in the night sky, our valiant hero embarked on a quest to quell this malevolent force and restore harmony to the Pixie woods. Venturing through shadowed groves and sunlit clearings, Stormwing encountered a myriad of challenges along the way. From mischievous sprites playing pranks to elusive woodland spirits leading him astray, every step tested our hero's resolve. Yet armed with spells woven from moonbeams and courage as bright as dawn's first light, Stormwing pressed on undaunted. Finally, after reaching the heart of the forest, Stormwing confronted the source of discord, a dark entity cloaked in shadows and malice. With a flourish of wings shimmering like iridescent silk and incantations echoing like ancient hymns, our Stormpixie champion engaged in a battle of magic and willpower. The very air crackled with energy as nature itself seemed to hold its breath. After an epic clash that took weeks, Stormwing emerged victorious. The malevolent presence dissipated like morning mist under the sun's gentle gaze, leaving behind only whispers of gratitude from grateful woodland creatures. With peace restored and magic once again flowing harmoniously through every leaf and stream, Stormwing soared into the horizon, a beacon of hope and valor for all who dwell in the Pixie woods. He was never to be seen again. He cried, "In the storm of battle our magic shines brightest." As he disappeared, behold Sergeant Ember, the notorious pyromancer, whose fiery antics make the sun look like a flickering candle on a windy day. With flames so wild they could outdance a disco inferno, and with a spark sorcery form of magic that puts even the most dramatic supernova to shame, Sergeant Ember is not your average forest dweller. His movements are so swift that even time itself takes a coffee break to keep up, leaving hummingbirds looking like they're stuck in molasses. One fateful day, Sergeant Ember was summoned to the farthest reaches of the enchanted forest on a mission so crucial that only he could accomplish it. With a solemn nod and a crackling of flames, he set off into the unknown, his silhouette disappearing into the shadows of the ancient trees. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Sergeant Ember never returned. Some say he found a portal to a realm where fireflies reign supreme, while others whisper that he simply decided to retire and open a barbecue joint for weary travelers lost in the woods. The screen fades from the enchanted forest to a bustling barbecue joint with a sign that reads, "Sergeant Ember's Barbecue, where the flames of flavor never die." Are you tired of wandering lost in the woods, desperately craving some mouth-watering barbecue to satisfy your hunger? Look no further. Welcome to Sergeant Ember's Barbecue Joint, where fiery flavors and sizzling sensations await you. Suddenly we see Sergeant Ember standing proudly behind the grill, flames dancing around him as he expertly flips ribs and brisket. "Greetings, weary travelers. I may have retired from battling foes with my fire magic, but fear not, my flames still burn bright in the kitchen. Come taste the magic of my secret sauce that will ignite your taste buds like never before. A customer taking a bite of a juicy rib with eyes widening in delight says, "By the flames of a dragon's sneeze, this barbecue is hotter than the sun's envy and tastier than a pixie's giggle. I feel like I've stumbled upon a secret recipe guarded by unicorns in a mystical forest. It's so fiery it could make a phoenix blush with envy, and so delicious it could charm even the grumpiest three-headed troll into a dance of joy." Whether you're a fan of spicy wings or smoky pulled pork, Sergeant Ember's barbecue joint has something for everyone. So why settle for ordinary when you can experience the extraordinary at Sergeant Ember's? The screen fades to black with the sound of crackling flames and sizzling meat. Sergeant Ember's barbecue, where every bite is an adventure. And so, the legend of Sergeant Ember lives on in the whispers of leaves and the crackling of distant fires. A tale of magic and mystery that will forever burn bright in the heart of the enchanted forest. The last words we heard him say were, "Tiny but mighty, we dance with the winds of fate." In the pixie woods of Mythalel, Commander Zephyr, a zany and zestful leader, was not just known for her strategic antics, but also for her mysterious origins. Legend has it that she was saved from the clutches of the dark fairy forces as a child by a benevolent wizard named Zephyrus, who foresaw her destiny to become a beacon of light in the realm. This magical intervention imbued Zephyr with extraordinary abilities beyond mortal comprehension. With her Stormpixie tactics now infused with mystical preposterousness, Commander Zephyr pranced through the land as a potent presence, her every move guided by an otherworldly charm that seemed to bend reality itself. Her leadership speeches were not just tactical stratagems, but incantations woven with ancient spells, captivating her followers with a touch of playful magic that left them both in awe and admiration. In the days of yore, before she ascended to her role as commander, the zany Zephyr was but a zealous zealot of the commando crew. She was a member of a troop of curious combatants, each endowed with peculiar prowess and preposterous powers granted by the mystical forces that governed the enchanted forest. From crackshot sharpshooters whose arrows glowed with fey fire, to mystical magicians manipulating the very fabric of reality itself, this whimsical warrior troop traversed through wild whimsies and wacky warfare with zest and zeal unmatched in all the pixie woods. In the midst of a fierce battle against fairy forces, Commander Zephyr, though usually serious in her demeanor on the battlefield, possessed a fondness for infusing mirth into her leadership style. Once amidst the chaos and confusion of battle, Zephyr's keen eyes scanned the battlefield and spotted a trusty whip. It was not just a weapon to her, it would be an extension of herself and a symbol of her skill and prowess in combat. When the moment arrives that the leather decides to have a friendly chat with the skin, she will discover a newfound sense of invincibility and an insatiable craving for pickles. In the midst of the chaotic war scene, Zephyr suddenly felt compelled to perform a gravity-defying dance routine to retrieve the forgotten whip that was lazily lounging on the ground. In a whirlwind of chaos and confusion, she flailed about like a startled octopus at a disco, narrowly avoiding enemy attacks with the finesse of a squirrel on roller skates, until finally stumbling upon her cherished weapon, like a lost sock reunited with its mate. As she clutched it tightly in her hand, a surge of confidence meandered through her veins. With her trusty whip finally in hand, Zephyr unleashed a tornado of attacks upon her foes, striking with the finesse of a raccoon with a typewriter. The tide of battle began to do the cha-cha slide as her enemies wobbled under the onslaught of her skilled maneuvers. With each crack of her whip, she inspired courage in her allies and caused her adversaries to question their life choices. With whip in hand and allies at her side, it was clear that Zephyr was not just a warrior, she was a legend. She held aloft her whip in the air and said, "Fear not our size, but the power within us." In the fantastical world of unlikely cook-offs between pixies and dragons, our band of commandos, the Stormpixie squad, embark on a new adventure. The squad, a curious amalgamation of talents, includes expert marksmen who seem to find joy in competing while blindfolded, much to the dismay of their spellcasting comrades who are left to clean up the mess. The healers, seemingly the most sane of the group, are constantly exasperated by the reckless bravery of their peers, often muttering sarcastic spells as they patch up yet another self-inflicted wound. Commander Zephyr leads this motley crew through the enchanted forest, where they encounter peculiar challenges that would leave even the most seasoned adventurer scratching their head. Will they ever find a way to channel their unique talents for the greater good? Or will they continue to be sidetracked by their absurd antics? Only time will tell in this whimsical tale of camaraderie and chaos. Suppose for a moment that we take a break from the chaotic comedy of the Stormpixie squad and dive into some mathematical musings. Let's consider an interesting question. If each member of the squad were to cast or fire off their respective magical or physical projectiles at a rate of 69 times per minute, how many total projectiles would be launched in 42 minutes? Given that there are 3 types of projectiles in this scenario, spells, arrows, and healing spells, we can model this situation using the following formula. Total projectiles plus multitasking equals projectiles times 3. This equation tells us that, regardless of whether they're hitting or missing their targets, our Stormpixies are certainly consistent in their rate of projectile launching fervor, with 69 representing the number of attempts per minute and 42 being the number of minutes observed. We can calculate an estimate for just how many magical interventions occurred during their enchanted forest escapade. It's like they drew the shortest straw in a haystack made of spaghetti. I mean, who wouldn't want to spend their days dodging fire-breathing dragons while trying to decipher the ancient secrets whispered by gossiping trees? These warriors aren't just skilled in combat. They're also experts in navigating the craziness of a realm where logic takes a vacation and chaos reigns supreme. Picture this, a forest so green it puts Kermit the Frog to shame, with flowers so vibrant they make a Van Gogh painting look dull. The ethereal beauty of the enchanted forest is said to be unparalleled, but let's be real, it's probably just a bunch of overgrown shrubbery with a sprinkle of pixie dust. Once upon a time in the enchanted forest, there existed a peculiar patch of land known as the Enchanted Grove. This grove was rumored to be home to a mystical phenomenon, an overgrown shrubbery that was said to possess magical properties when sprinkled with pixie dust. The locals whispered tales of its powers, claiming that anyone who dared to venture into the grove would be met with fantastical surprises beyond their wildest dreams. One day, a curious explorer named Captain Clueless stumbled upon the rumors of the Enchanted Grove. Intrigued by the fantastical stories, he decided to embark on a quest to uncover the truth behind the overgrown shrubbery and its supposed pixie dust affinity. Armed with nothing but his trusty magnifying glass and a lunchbox full of Ember's barbecue, just in case he got hungry along the way, the captain set off into the depths of the grove. As our clueless adventurer ventured deeper into the Enchanted Grove, he soon came across the legendary overgrown shrubbery. To his surprise, it was indeed an impressive sight, towering high above him with branches so thick and tangled that they seemed to form intricate patterns in the air. Without hesitation, Cece reached into his pocket and pulled out a small vial of shimmering pixie dust that he had acquired from a mischievous pixie earlier on his journey. With trembling hands, Captain Clueless carefully sprinkled the pixie dust onto the overgrown shrubbery, half expecting nothing to happen. But lo and behold, as soon as the last speck of dust settled onto the leaves, a wondrous transformation began to take place. The shrubbery started to shimmer and glow with an otherworldly light, causing Captain Clueless to shield his eyes in amazement. However, as quickly as it had begun, the magical display came to an abrupt halt. The overgrown shrubbery let out a loud sneeze, sending Captain Clueless tumbling backward in surprise. To his astonishment, instead of granting him 3 wishes or bestowing him with eternal wisdom as he had hoped, the shrubbery simply muttered in a grumpy voice, "Do you mind? I was trying to take a nap here." And so ended Captain Clueless's adventure in the Enchanted Grove, where he learned that sometimes, even in the most absurd of circumstances, reality has a funny way of surprising us all. Now let's get back to unicorns that fart, rainbows, talking trees that offer unsolicited advice, and fairies with a penchant for glitter bombs. The Enchanted Forest has it all. Who needs regular old squirrels and deer when you can have a menagerie of fanciful magical creatures causing chaos at every turn? Oh, the dark secrets that lurk beneath the surface of this whimsical wonderland. Rumor has it there's a portal to another dimension hidden behind a waterfall, guarded by a talking tree and a three-headed troll who moonlights as a part-time barista. Because nothing says mystical realm like a creature serving up pumpkin spice lattes. Commander Zephyr, with her impeccable leadership skills and tendency to trip over her own cape, leads her ragtag squad through the enchanted forest on a quest for truth, justice, and maybe a decent cup of enchanted latte. Let's hope they pack their sense of humor along with their swords, because navigating this fantastic landscape is no walk in the park. In the whimsical pixie woods, where reality takes a latte break and imagination runs wild, Commander Zephyr found herself face to face with a chaos-loving squirrel named Sir Squeaks-a-Lot. As she led her commando squad deeper into the mystical woods, they were not greeted by the usual serene whispers of nature, but by a mischievous force of dark fairies playing pranks on unsuspecting passers-by. The fairy foes, tired of waylaying woodland wanderers, decided to try their hand at tripping up the Stormpixie squad members, while dancing squirrels dropped acorns with pinpoint accuracy aimed directly at their helmets. In a whimsical turn of events, the forest seemed to have signed up for an impromptu crash course in slapstick comedy, casting Zephyr and her team as the unwitting stars of this enchanting farce. As they ventured deeper into the woods, peculiar reports started trickling in about the disappearance of woodland creatures. However, instead of the usual suspects like wolves or bears, the culprits were said to be none other than a mischievous squirrel known as Sir Squeaks-a-Lot. In the whimsical whispers carried by the wind, rumors danced of his unholy pact with the enigmatic Lord Fluffington, and a mischievous cohort of rebellious dancing squirrels who had grown tired of being typecast as nothing more than adorable, fluffy creatures in the tales of children. The forest's gossip mill, with its branches serving as telephone lines for woodland creatures, spun tales wilder than a unicorn's mane on a windy day. Every tree, bush, and blade of grass seemed to have an opinion on Commander Zephyr and her daring squad's sudden intrusion into their mystical domain. Amidst the rustling leaves and shimmering rays of the enchanted forest, a peculiar tale unfolded. Whispers floated through the air, suggesting that some intruders were on a mission to abscond with the precious sunlight that danced through the emerald canopy. Others insisted that a quest for the elusive fountain of eternal youth was afoot, fueled by a desire to reverse the weariness accumulated from endless battles waged under the moon's watchful gaze. As suspicions swirled like fireflies in the night, a sense of foreboding gripped Commander Zephyr and her valiant squad. As the shadows stretched longer and tension crept in like a sneaky raccoon at a picnic, it dawned on everyone that the looming menace was not some evil overlord out for world domination, but a band of mischievous fairies with a penchant for control freakery. In a realm where the laws of logic took a vacation, an utterly preposterous scheme unfurled right in front of their bewildered gazes. A conniving squirrel and a whimsical gnome joined forces with mischievous forest fairies in a grandiose charade. Unfazed by this fantastical turn of events, Commander Zephyr forged ahead in her valiant quest to quash this uprising. Zephyr and her ragtag squad of heroic oddballs, each boasting a peculiar blend of talents, eccentricities, and questionable decision-making prowess, proudly dubbed themselves as the guardians of their mystical domain, sworn to shield it from the encroaching shadows that imperiled its very essence. As dusk settled over the enchanted forest, the air crackled with an eerie energy. The fairy queen Glitterwing, known for her capricious nature and formidable magical abilities, grew weary of the Stormpixie's constant meddling in her affairs. In a fit of pique, she decided to teach them a lesson they would not soon forget. With a graceful wave of her iridescent wand, Glitterwing cast a spell so potent that it enveloped each member of the Stormpixies in their own illusion. Suddenly, the once united squad found themselves scattered across the ethereal landscape, facing their deepest fears and darkest desires alone. While their approaches may defy all reason, their resolve remains unshakable. Once upon a time in the whimsical pixie woods, Commander Zephyr, the fearless Stormpixie, found herself facing an unprecedented threat. A mischievous band of fairies, led by the notorious Queen Glitterwing, had hatched a diabolical plan to turn the entire world into a pop-up book. As foolish as it sounded, Zephyr knew that she was the only one who could stop them. It all began on a sunny morning when Zephyr received an urgent message from the Pixie Council. The message was written in shimmering golden ink and carried by a fleet of fireflies. It detailed the fairies' nefarious plot and implored Zephyr to lead the charge against them. Without hesitation, Zephyr donned her trusty goggles, strapped on her whip, and set out to gather her loyal band of pixie warriors. As Zephyr and her pixie brigade approached the enchanted forest where the fairies resided, they were met with a dazzling display of magic. The fairies had woven intricate spells that twisted reality itself, turning trees into towering pop-up structures and flowers into colorful paper cutouts. Undeterred by the surreal sight before them, Zephyr rallied her troops with a rousing speech filled with insane humor and unwavering determination. The battle that ensued was like none other ever witnessed in the Pixie Woods. Fairies flitted about, casting spells that turned puddles into portals to other dimensions, while Zephyr twirled and leapt through the air with acrobatic grace, cracking her whip with precision. The clash of steel against magic filled the air with sparks and laughter as both sides fought fiercely for control over the fate of their world. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, Commander Zephyr unleashed her secret weapon, her unparalleled talent for turning chaos into comedy. With a mischievous glint in her eye, she began to mimic the fairies' nonsensical antics, turning their own spells against them in a hilarious display of wit and cunning. The fairies, taken aback by this unexpected turn of events, found themselves unable to resist joining in the uproarious escapade. In an epic clash between the mighty Zephyr and the enchanting Queen Glitterwing, perched atop a majestic pop-up castle that materialized out of thin air, the melodious sound of laughter reverberated through the ancient forest. Instead of resorting to conventional weapons, they engaged in a battle of wits that sparkled with magical charm. To everyone's surprise, it was not raw power, but sheer preposterousness that emerged triumphant on that fateful day. Whilst comprehension fades, she exclaimed, "With pixie dust and blaster fire, we conquer all." As the illusions dissipated like morning mist, a new reality unfolded before our very eyes. Behold, amongst the merry band of companions stood a motley crew of extraordinary individuals, each bestowed with their own peculiar and fantastical talents. From mildly useful to utterly whimsical, each member embarked on their own surreal journey of battling illusions in a realm where reality intertwined seamlessly with fantasy. In the enchanted Pixie Woods, where magic danced on every petal and whispers of ancient spells lingered in the air, there lived a peculiar creature known as Bumbling Brit, the Stormpixie. With her tousled copper hair and mischievous green eyes, she was a whirlwind of chaos and laughter wherever she went. One fateful day, as Bumbling Brit was frolicking in a meadow filled with daisies and daffodils, she overheard a group of fairies plotting to turn the world into a pop-up book. The mischievous pixie couldn't resist the temptation to intervene in their grand scheme. Armed with nothing but her trusty electric guitar and quick wit, Bumbling Brit set out to thwart the fairies' nefarious plan. As she skipped through the forest, her heart pounded with excitement at the thought of the adventure that lay ahead. Upon reaching the edge of the fairy kingdom, Bumbling Brit found herself face to face with a battalion of fairies armed with glittering wands and shimmering wings. Undeterred by their magical prowess, she strummed her electric guitar and began to sing a tune so enchanting that even the leaves on the trees swayed in rhythm. The fairies, entranced by her melodious voice, momentarily forgot their wicked intentions as they danced around in a hypnotic trance. Seizing this opportunity, Bumbling Brit unleashed her unreal humor, regaling them with tales of nonsensical adventures that left them rolling on the ground with laughter. Just as victory seemed within reach, a powerful sorceress emerged from the shadows, her eyes blazing with fury at the disruption caused by Bumbling Brit. With a wave of her hand, she summoned a tempestuous storm that threatened to engulf them all. But Bumbling Brit, true to her name, embraced the chaos with open arms. Channeling her inner Stormpixie essence, she danced amidst the lightning bolts and thunderclaps, turning them into a whimsical display of light and sound that dazzled friend and foe alike. As Bumbling Brit stood tall in the midst of the enchanted clearing, her victory over the forces of chaos was a sight to behold. The fairies gazed upon her with awe and reverence, their wings shimmering in the dappled sunlight as they whispered tales of her bravery and cunning. With a flourish of electric guitar, she banished the last remnants of the storm, restoring peace and harmony to the once turbulent landscape. In the aftermath of the tumultuous storm, as the last echoes of thunder faded into the distance, a radiant beam of sunlight pierced through the dense canopy above, casting a shimmering golden hue upon the tranquil clearing. In this magical moment, bumbling Brit emerged from the chaos, her presence commanding attention amidst a mesmerized audience of bewildered fairies. She said, "Commander Zephyr leads, we follow without question," as everything fades. The air was thick with anticipation as the veil of illusion lifted, revealing a world transformed by enchantment and wonder. Once upon a time, in the mystical realm of the Pixie Woods, there dwelt a spirited and mischievous Stormpixie known far and wide as Mighty Maxine. With her playful antics and unpredictable nature, she held sway over the elements, weaving spells of whimsy and mischief wherever she roamed. Her laughter echoed through the ancient trees, carrying with it a sense of magic and mystery that captivated all who crossed her path. With her vibrant emerald wings shimmering under the moonlight, she was known far and wide for her unparalleled prowess in spellcasting and her penchant for causing accidental chaos wherever she went. One fateful day, as Mighty Maxine was flitting through the enchanted forest, she stumbled upon a group of fairies led by the notorious Queen Glitterwing. The fairies were up to no good, plotting to cast a malevolent spell that would turn the entire world into a pop-up book, trapping all its inhabitants within its pages forever. Mighty Maxine, with her keen senses tingling with foreboding, knew that she had to put a stop to this nefarious plan. With a mischievous glint in her eye and a twirl of her wand, she conjured a tempest so fierce that it sent Queen Glitterwing and her minions tumbling head over heels. But the fairies were not easily defeated. They retaliated with beams of iridescent light and showers of glittering stardust, creating a dazzling spectacle that lit up the night sky. Mighty Maxine danced through the chaos, weaving intricate spells and incantations with her extensive vocabulary of obscure magic. As the battle raged on, trees sprouted wings and began to flutter like giant butterflies, while rocks transformed into chattering squirrels with top hats and monocles. The air was filled with the cacophony of spells colliding and creatures morphing into wild forms. In a moment of inspiration, Mighty Maxine unleashed her most potent incantation yet, a spell so powerful that it caused reality itself to warp and twist around her. The very fabric of space seemed to contort as she chanted words that had not been spoken in centuries. With a blinding flash of light, the fairies found themselves trapped within an enormous pop-up book, their plans foiled by Mighty Maxine's quick thinking and formidable magic. Her motto, "Storms rage, pixies soar, victory is ours once more." As the illusion vanishes, our sight warps, unveiling an alternate world. Once upon a time in the Pixie Woods, there lived a Stormpixie named Sheila. Unlike her fellow pixies who frolicked in the meadows and danced under the moonlight, Sheila had a peculiar obsession with sneaking up on her comrades just for the thrill of it. She was known far and wide for her unparalleled skills in blending into her surroundings, whether it be foliage or furniture, making her virtually invisible to the naked eye. Despite her remarkable abilities, Sheila struggled with social interactions due to her habit of perpetually whispering, which often left others feeling unsettled in her presence. Nevertheless, Sheila embraced her uniqueness and reveled in the art of surprise, finding joy in the startled expressions of those she managed to startle. One fateful day, a band of mischievous fairies descended upon the Pixie Woods with a nefarious plan to turn the world into a giant pop-up book, disrupting the natural order of things. The fairies believed that by transforming the Pixie Woods into a whimsical storybook setting, they could gain control over the realm and bend it to their will. Upon hearing of this dastardly plot, Sheila knew that it was up to the Stormpixies to thwart the fairies' scheme and protect their beloved home. With determination in her heart and mischief in her eyes, she set out on a daring mission to outwit the fairies and preserve the magic of the enchanted forest. As she navigated through the enchanted forests and shimmering meadows, Sheila used her stealthy skills to evade detection by the fairy scouts patrolling the area. With each whispered step, she drew closer to unraveling the fairies' plans and putting an end to their misguided ambitions. In a climactic showdown beneath the light of the full moon, Sheila confronted the fairy leader in a battle of wits and cunning. Despite being outnumbered and facing formidable foes, Sheila's quick thinking and nimble movements allowed her to outmaneuver the fairies at every turn. With a mischievous grin on her face, Sheila unleashed a flurry of surprises upon the fairies, causing chaos and confusion among their ranks. Stealthy Sheila, with her quick wit and even quicker feet, was known throughout Enchanted Forest for her ability to outmaneuver even the most cunning adversaries. However, facing an army of fairies armed with glitter bombs and enchanted pop-up books presented a challenge unlike any she had encountered before. As she pondered her next move, she knew that she needed help from an unlikely ally. In her quest for assistance, stealthy Sheila stumbled upon Tanking Tammy, the heavily armored warrior renowned for her immense strength and gentle demeanor. Despite their contrasting appearances and fighting styles, stealthy Sheila sensed a kindred spirit in Tanking Tammy's peaceful nature. Together they formed an unlikely duo determined to thwart the Fairy Queen Glitterwing's malevolent plan. As the sun set over the Pixie Woods, stealthy Sheila and Tanking Tammy launched their attack on the fairy stronghold. Using her stealth and agility, Sheila darted through the shadows, disabling fairy traps and disarming glitter bombs with finesse. Meanwhile, Tanking Tammy advanced steadily but surely, shrugging off fairy spells with her impenetrable armor. At last, stealthy Sheila and Tanking Tammy reached the heart of the fairy kingdom, where the Fairy Queen Glitterwing awaited them atop her glittering throne. With a wave of her scepter, Glitterwing summoned a whirlwind of enchanted pages from her pop-up book army to engulf our Stormpixie squad. Undeterred, Tanking Tammy stood firm as Sheila danced around the swirling chaos. In a stroke of fantastic brilliance, stealthy Sheila unleashed her secret weapon, a jar of mischievous fireflies that she had captured earlier in her adventures. The fireflies swarmed around the Fairy Queen Glitterwing, tickling her into uncontrollable laughter until she dropped her scepter. Seizing the opportunity, Tanking Tammy lunged forward and gently tapped Glitterwing on the shoulder with her massive gauntlet. With the Fairy Queen Glitterwing disarmed and defeated by their unconventional tactics, stealthy Sheila and Tanking Tammy emerged victorious. They both shouted, "In unity and magic, we find strength beyond measure." They fade away. As this mirage dissipates, our perception distorts, revealing a different reality. Once upon a time in the Pixie Woods, a mischievous Stormpixie named Healing Hildegard resided. With her cunning leechcraft skills and an unusual love for thorny creatures, particularly hedgehogs, she was known far and wide for her exceptional ability to mend wounds with her trusty needlepoint kit. However, there was one peculiar weakness that often led her astray, an irresistible attraction to winsome hedgehog portrayals on the internet, especially during critical moments. One fateful day, as Enchanted Glade was threatened by a group of mischievous fairies with a nefarious plan to turn the world into a pop-up book, Healing Hildegard was called upon to lead the defense against this whimsical but dangerous threat. Armed with her needlepoint kit and accompanied by a band of brave woodland creatures, including her loyal hedgehog companions, she set out to confront the fairy invaders. As Healing Hildegard and her allies reached the Pixie Woods, they were met by a dazzling array of fairies fluttering about, casting spells to transform the surroundings into pages of a giant pop-up book. The Stormpixie knew that she had to act swiftly to thwart their plans and protect the Pixie Woods from being trapped in a storybook forever. With determination in her eyes and needlepoint at the ready, Healing Hildegard darted through the air like a lightning bolt, weaving intricate patterns with her thread that disrupted the fairy magic. The hedgehogs scurried around her feet, poking their quills at any fairy foolish enough to come too close. However, just as victory seemed within reach, Healing Hildegard's attention wavered as she caught sight of an adorable hedgehog meme on her enchanted leaf scroll communicator. Entranced by the cute depiction of a hedgehog juggling acorns, she momentarily forgot about the battle raging around her. The fairies seized this momentary lapse in focus and launched a powerful spell that encased Healing Hildegard in a giant pop-up book page. As she struggled against the paper prison, she realized that her love for hedgehogs had led her astray once again, but true Stormpixies never stay down for long. Drawing strength from her bond with the hedgehogs and fueled by determination, Healing Hildegard summoned all her leechcraft skills to unravel the enchanted page binding her. With deft stitches and unwavering resolve, she tore through the paper barrier and emerged back into the fray. Empowered by this near-defeat turned triumph, Healing Hildegard unleashed a whirlwind of needlepoint fury upon the fairies, unraveling their pop-up book illusions one stitch at a time. The woodland creatures joined in the fight, each playing their part in driving back the magical invaders. Hildegard holds true the saying, "Whispers of enchantment guide our blades true." She drifts away as the illusion evaporates and our vision distorts, uncovering another realm. In a whimsical, the pixie woods far beyond the reach of ordinary mortals, there existed a peculiar inventor named Gina Gadget. She was not your typical tinkerer. Her creations were as eccentric as she was, often causing more chaos than order. Despite this, Gina Gadget had an unwavering confidence in her inventions, believing that each one held the key to solving any problem that came her way. One fateful day, a horde of mischievous fairies descended upon the land with a nefarious plan to turn the world into a giant pop-up book. Their leader, Queen Glitterwing Twinkletoes, had grown tired of the mundane reality and sought to bring a touch of whimsy to every corner of existence. As news of the fairy invasion spread, Gina Gadget knew that it was time for her latest creation to shine. With a twinkle in her eye and a cackle on her lips, she unveiled her most audacious invention yet, the Stormpixie 3000. This contraption resembled a cross between a weather vane and a disco ball, with rainbow-colored lights swirling around it in a hypnotic dance. Armed with her trusty Stormpixie 3000, Gina Gadget set out to confront Queen Glitterwing and her fairy minions. The fairies, taken aback by the sight of this bizarre contraption, hesitated for a moment before launching their magical assault. But Gina Gadget was prepared. With a flick of a switch and a dramatic flourish, she activated the Stormpixie 3000. In an instant, dark clouds gathered overhead, crackling with electricity as thunder rumbled ominously in the distance. The fairies looked on in horror as bolts of lightning shot forth from the Stormpixie 3000, zapping them out of the sky one by one. Queen Glitterwing herself tried to counterattack with spells of illusion and enchantment, but Gina Gadget's invention proved too powerful to be thwarted. In a dazzling display of bizarre chaos, the battle between the Stormpixie and the fairies raged on. Giant rubber chickens soared through the air alongside glittering firecrackers and confetti cannons. The very fabric of reality seemed to warp and twist under the influence of Gina Gadget's mad genius. In the end, it was not clear who emerged victorious from this surreal conflict. The fairies retreated back to their realm, nursing their wounds and muttering about never underestimating an inventor with a penchant for rubber chickens again. And as for Gina Gadget, she stood amidst the wreckage of her latest creation, grinning from ear to ear with pride. For in her mind, even if all she had accomplished was unleashing chaos upon chaos, it was still a triumph in its own bizarre way. Gina held fast to the idea, through darkness and light we stand as one. In a wacky twist of fate, a minuscule pixie materializes beside you, playfully murmuring into your ear, "Behold, the veracity you seek is but a hop, skip, and a jump away." As if caught in a surreal dream, we suddenly find ourselves peering beyond the veils of deception, unraveling the mystical tapestry that conceals the long-lost truth from our unsuspecting gaze. In the whimsical realm of Commander Zephyr and her eclectic squad, fanciful challenges were just another day in the office. Gina Gadget, the team's resident inventor, was known for her quirky creations. One of her most infamous inventions was the rubber chicken launcher, a device that could launch rubber chickens with surprising accuracy. One fateful day, as the fairy forces were busy scheming to transform their world into a colossal pop-up book, chaos ensued when Gina Gadget's rubber chicken launcher went off in auto-defense mode. The launcher, sensing a threat amidst the whimsy, began firing rubber chickens in all directions. A catastrophic symphony of eye-splitting sounds began dancing through the air. Whir, zap, static beep, hum, crackle, buzz, ping, swoosh, click, chirp, thump, screech, hiss, whistle, clang, rumble, echo, twang, whoosh. The cacophony of noises played a magical tune that the normally whimsical creatures of the enchanted forest could not bear. Each sound carried a hint of imminent destruction and a sprinkle of chicken rubber, creating a surreal auditory experience that thrashed the ears like a heavy metal band on PCP. The Stormpixie commandos, who had been lost in their illusions and unaware of the impending chaos, were jolted awake by the unexpected barrage of rubber chickens. As they stumbled out of their reverie, they found themselves face to face with a surreal scene of fairy forces scrambling to dodge flying rubber poultry while Gina Gadget frantically tried to deactivate her malfunctioning invention. In the end, amidst the madness and foolishness of it all, enter Gina Gadget, with her infamous rubber chicken launcher, claiming that these bizarre battle sounds are all part of her ingenious contraption. Though some suspect she might have indulged in a few too many beans for lunch. But hey, in a world where the fantastical reigns supreme, who's to say what's truly normal? By vanquishing these malevolent fairy forces, Commander Zephyr and her misfit crew achieve more than just preventing their realm from turning into a giant pop-up book, which admittedly does sound like an intriguing concept. This step towards victory ensures that their world remains a haven where surprises don't materialize out of thin air, well, except for the occasional rubber chicken launcher mishap. Time to remember, pixie hearts, stormtrooper souls, a perfect harmony. However, beyond simply maintaining the current state of affairs, there exists a more profound objective: thwarting these nefarious schemes. Not only are they protecting their world from being engulfed by a ceaseless tide of fairy nonsense, but they are also preserving the very fabric of their reality. This belief is held steadfastly by the group, even though their foes include characters like Lord Fluffington and Sir Squeaks-a-Lot, who continue to evade capture, adding an extra layer of complexity to the situation. In employing Stormpixie bravado to navigate through their challenges, the team finds themselves entangled in a web of unpredictability and wonder. The ongoing escapades involving Lord Fluffington and Sir Squeaks-a-Lot, who remain at large despite numerous attempts to apprehend them, only serve to heighten the surreal nature of their endeavors. As Commander Zephyr and her commando squad ventured deeper into the heart of the enchanted forest, they could feel the tension in the air. Or maybe it was just the pollen from the magical flowers making them sneeze uncontrollably. The mastermind behind the sinister plot turned out to be a rather comical figure, a tiny gnome with a grandiose plan to turn all the forest creatures into his personal army of dancing squirrels. The battle that ensued was nothing short of insanity. The gnome mastermind, who insisted on being called Lord Fluffington, commanded his squirrel minions led by Sir Squeaks-a-Lot, with a series of high-pitched squeaks that sound more like a bad rendition of a nursery rhyme than actual orders. Commander Zephyr and her squad couldn't help but exchange bewildered glances as they tried to make sense of the chaos unfolding before them. As the battle raged on, pushing everyone to their physical and mental limits, one particularly brave member of the commando squad attempted to reason with Lord Fluffington. "Do you really think turning everyone into dancing squirrels is a sustainable long-term plan for world domination?" she quipped, earning herself a confused look from both friend and foe alike. In a moment of sheer preposterousness, Commander Zephyr decided to challenge Lord Fluffington to a dance-off instead of engaging in traditional combat. As they twirled and spun around each other in a bizarre display of interpretive dance meets the martial arts, it became clear that victory would not be determined by strength alone, but also by who had the most ridiculous moves. In the end, it was not brute force, but sheer nonsense that won the day. The enchanted forest echoed with laughter as Lord Fluffington conceded defeat, realizing that his grandiose plans were no match for the power of sarcasm and satire. With peace restored to their beloved realm, Commander Zephyr and her commando squad rode off into the sunset, leaving behind a trail of bewildered squirrels trying to remember their new dance routines. The squad cheers, "Our wings carry us to triumph on gossamer dreams." As the dust settles in the enchanted forest, Commander Zephyr and her squad stand triumphant, looking like they just stepped out of a heroic fantasy novel. Their armor is gleaming, their swords are sheathed for once, and even the birds seem to be chirping a victory tune. The squad members exchange knowing glances, silently congratulating themselves on saving the day once again. Because, you know, that's just what they do. But let's not forget the unreal nature of it all. I mean, come on, an enchanted forest? Really? Who even knew those were real outside of fairy tales? And Commander Zephyr? With a name like that, she might as well have been born to lead a squad of misfits through impossible missions. It's like someone rolled a dice and said, "Yep, that's your destiny now." Our merry band of adventurers, having recently slipped through the clutches of their own delusions, vanquished Lord Fluffington and tamed Sir Squeaks-a-Lot, must now brace themselves for an even more absurd trial. This time around, they must face none other than the Fairy Queen herself. One might ask, what kind of absurd challenges await this peculiar Stormpixie squad? Surely they have already encountered an abundance of peculiarities in their previous encounters. Yet as they regroup and recuperate, they must gear up for another round of illogical scenarios and whimsical twists. After all, the Fairy Queen is not known for her conventional methods. As our heroes approach the Fairy Queen's court, they can expect a myriad of fantastical creatures and mystical phenomena. The air will be thick with enchantments and spells, leaving them in a constant state of bewilderment. It's almost as if they have stepped into a realm where logic is but a distant memory. But lo and behold, our intrepid adventurers, in all their glory and folly, face the daunting task of navigating through a labyrinth that rivals the complexity of a Rubik's Cube designed by a mischievous unicorn. But fear not. The adventurers must rely on their wit and camaraderie to conquer the Queen's challenges after surviving the labyrinth that leads to the Fairy Queen's court. Whether facing rainbow constructions or participating in blowtorch battles with sentient shrubbery, they will prevail. In a whimsical twist of fate, our brave heroes find themselves facing off against an army of evil squirrels in the enchanted forest of Pixie Woods. These squirrels, with their tiny but menacing armor and acorn weapons, are led by the nefarious General Starshine, a unicorn of legendary cunning and splendor. As our Stormpixie squad prepares for battle, they must strategize how to outwit these equine foes and emerge victorious in this surreal showdown. Starshine's command is our bond, unbreakable and true. But wait, the plot thickens. Just as they think they have vanquished the Unicorn Commander, a new challenge arises, a maze filled with sentient shrubberies that not only insult our heroes as they pass by, but also possess magical abilities to confound and confuse. These cheeky shrubberies, known as the Whispering Willows, whisper taunts and riddles to anyone who dares to navigate their prickly paths. Our squad must rely on wit, wisdom, and perhaps a blowtorch to outsmart these sassy shrubs and make their way through the maze unscathed. As our Stormpixies press forward through the maze, the air crackles with mystical energy. Suddenly, a shimmering portal guarded by a three-headed troll appears before them, pulsating with otherworldly light. Through this portal lies the lair of Queen Glitterwing, an ancient and powerful sorceress who reigns over the enchanted forest. In a bizarre turn of events, Queen Glitterwing, in the midst of ordering a latte, is utterly flabbergasted by the sudden appearance of the Stormpixie squad. After collecting her wits and her tiara, she proceeds to challenge our valiant heroes to a series of outlandish magical trials to ascertain their worthiness to bask in her majestic presence. In the whimsical abode of the Fairy Queen, our brave adventurers seem to have involuntarily stumbled into a bizarre sequence of challenges that defy all sense and sensibility. Amidst the chaos, they find themselves face to face with a three-headed troll named Jeff, who seems more perplexed than intimidating. The first trial unfolds under the enchanting glow of a silver moon, where mischievous fairies challenge our squad to a swim meet while balancing teacups precariously atop their heads. The pixies' giggles fill the air as the teacups wobble in defiance of gravity, creating a comical spectacle that tests both skill and coordination. As our Stormpixies stumble and twirl in this surreal backstroke, they are magically reunited with Stormwing and Sergeant Ember, who had been hostages of Fluffington. What an epic reunion between the major forces of the Stormpixies. Our heroes raise their ornately engraved swords into the air, wondering what magical powers will be required to defeat Glitterwing once and for all. Meanwhile, on the other side of the clearing, a starship suddenly crash lands, sending waves of chaos through the enchanted forest. The impact sends Stormpixies flying in the magical, mystical woodland, and even our heroine Zephyr is catapulted from the old stump where she is standing. In a whimsical twist of fate, Zephyr jolts awake as if she just remembered she left the stove on in Antarctica for the penguins. Little did she know she had been snoozing like a hibernating sloth on a hammock made of marshmallows for a whopping 24 hours. As her eyes flutter open, she realizes that her dream was no ordinary flight of fancy. It involved her gallivanting through a psychedelic forest with angels playing hopscotch and rainbows serenading her with heavy metal tunes. And just when she thought things couldn't get any weirder, a troop of pirates dressed in tuxedos and monocles challenged her to a game of underwater bowling. Oh, the absurdity! Her wings tingled with anticipation. Zephyr awakens and soars across the heavens like a lightning bolt in reverse. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a sagacious old owl perched atop a chattering tree engages our intrepid commander in a comical conundrum. In a whimsical realm where riddles dance like playful elves by the seashore, the enchanting melody of an owl's hoots sets the stage for Zephyr's journey through a maze of linguistic acrobatics, infused with humor and sprinkled with magical details. Without notice, a surreal landscape unfolds where a talking tree sways in mirth, its branches gesticulating wildly as if tickled by invisible fairies, as our valiant protagonist fumbles and flounders in response. The tree's laughter booms with a hint of magical treachery. Like fledgling sorcerers grappling with spells gone awry, our hero finds herself ensnared in the enigmatic rhymes of the ancient forest owl. This owl, bestowed with a second life and brimming with arcane wisdom, imparts its cryptic knowledge upon the world. In the midst of the surreal landscape, where the talking tree sways with mischievous glee, the ancient forest owl perches regally, ready to impart its cryptic wisdom in a manner that tickles the mind with fantastical humor. As our Stormpixie squad stands befuddled, let us delve into the enigmatic teachings of this whimsical owl. The owl hoots in a tone that echoes through the enchanted forest. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? And if it does, is it composing a symphony for the woodland critters or merely engaging in an avant-garde performance art piece? With a twinkle in its wise eyes, the owl muses, why do humans rush about like squirrels on caffeine, chasing after minutes and seconds as if they were elusive fireflies? Time is but a construct. Perhaps we should all take a leaf out of the sloth's book and embrace the art of leisurely contemplation. Fluffing its feathers thoughtfully, the owl poses a riddle. If a mirror could speak, would it reflect upon its own existence or simply gossip about the questionable fashion choices of those who gaze into it? Perhaps true self-discovery lies not in reflection, but in introspection. In a moment of profound insight, disguised in whimsy, the owl hoots softly. Love is like a burrito, sometimes messy, often cheesy, but always satisfying. Remember, dear traveler, to cherish not just the guacamole moments, but also the spicy salsa disagreements that add flavor to life's tapestry. As the moonlight filters through the canopy above, casting shadows that dance around us like playful spirits, the owl whispers enigmatically, in a universe filled with stardust and cosmic wonders beyond comprehension, why do humans fret over trivialities? Embrace the chaos. After all, even black holes have their quirks. Embracing absurdity with a touch of wisdom from our mystical forest owl companion can lead to unexpected revelations and laughter amidst life's perplexing journey. Through this whimsical ordeal, our hero emerges victorious, her mind enriched with the esoteric teachings of the mystical creatures that dwell within the enchanted woods. As a token of her triumph, the talking tree ceremoniously closes the portal to this regal lair. As the final glimmer of sunlight cascades through the mystical gateway, the ancient tree bestows upon Commander Zephyr and her valiant troop a whimsical new moniker, the Stpixies. With a mischievous twinkle, the portal snaps shut behind them, immersing Commander Zephyr and her intrepid commando squad into the heart of an enchanted forest. Perched atop a verdant hill, they gaze upon a bustling gnome settlement below. The air resonates with the cacophony of clanging tools, wayward explosions, screeching velociraptors, and wailing children caught in the throes of terror. Suddenly, their surroundings transform as if plucked from a surreal dream. Manifestations of their deepest fears materialize before them, conjured by none other than the enigmatic Queen Glitterwing herself. Illusions woven from moonbeams and shadows dance into existence, contorting into nightmarish spectacles that both taunt and tantalize our valiant heroes. Undaunted, Commander Zephyr and her stalwart companions must fortify their spirits against these phantasmagorical horrors, bravely confronting their innermost demons with unwavering courage and unshakable resolve. And so unfolds a tale of wild magic, where teacups dance on heads, owls speak in rhyme, and fears take shape in illusions spun from moonlight. After overcoming these whimsical challenges with courage and camaraderie, our Stormpixies stand before Queen Glitterwing once more. Impressed by their bravery and resilience, she bestows upon them a magical talisman that will guide them safely through the rest of their journey. With newfound confidence and determination, our Stpixies set forth on their next adventure, ready to face whatever crazy obstacles come their way. Once upon a time, in a whimsical realm where logic was merely a suggestion and the bizarre held court, the possibilities danced like mischievous sprites in the air. Picture a land where gravity played hopscotch with reality, and the laws of physics were but gentle guidelines for the chaos that ensued. In this fantastical world, the possibilities were as boundless as the imagination of a child lost in dreams. Trees whispered secrets to passing clouds, while rivers meandered through fields of cotton candy. Unicorns raced snails in epic showdowns, and teapots sang sonnets to the moon. The fanciful reigned supreme, wearing its crown askew, and its scepter is made of rubber chickens. Cats conversed with cabbages about the meaning of life, and socks had a penchant for disappearing into alternate dimensions where mismatched pairs frolicked in eternal freedom. Imagine a world where logic took one look at absurdity and decided to elope with it, leaving reason behind like a jilted lover. In this topsy-turvy universe, even the most mundane tasks were transformed into grand adventures by mischievous gnomes armed with electric guitars and glitter cannons. Every corner turned revealed a new wonder, like disco-dancing squirrels discussing philosophy over acorn tea, clouds shaped like floating castles offering rides to daring adventurers, and doorways that led not to rooms but to entire galaxies filled with sentient cheese wheels. And let's not forget about the delicate balance of their world that they're so keen on preserving, because nothing says balance like a bunch of warriors running around with pointy weapons, right? It's almost poetic in its irony. So as Commander Zephyr and her squad prepare for whatever ridiculousness comes their way next, one thing is certain: there will never be a dull moment in their enchanted forest escapades. In conclusion, Commander Zephyr and her squad may have saved the day in the enchanted forest with all the seriousness of seasoned warriors. But let's not overlook the craziness and sarcasm that lurks beneath the surface of their triumph. After all, what's an adventure without a healthy dose of humor to keep things interesting, right? Remember, in every battle, a tale of courage and magic unfolds, and the tiniest warriors wield the greatest power, or, with laughter and lightning, we vanquish our foes. Don't forget, a storm of Stpixies descends upon our enemies, and this one too. Pixie dust sparkles in the wake of our victories. This is powerful. Through chaos and calm, we remain steadfast and strong. Maybe this: in the heart of the storm, we find peace in battle. And lastly, may our legacy be written in stars and spells.